Okay, we have a new C blues solo, and this time we have to use those thirds and sevenths, but only refer to the chord symbols. This will be good for you. So let's just check and make sure we remember the chords. You can't see them because they're on the previous page, but you know them. Oh, easy peasy. Wow, okay. And if you miss them, just turn back to the previous page, review, and you'll have them. So the accompaniment is kind of sparse. So what we want to do is find a way to get to know this and build a beat and then get those chords in place. Let's start with the right hand. Let's go ahead and block it out. Couple of choices here. Sometimes I'll play it like that. I think you could also play it like this. But the thing is, you want to be at this position in measure 2. I suppose it could be this. Do what fits your hand. So we've got your fourth finger on E, fourth finger on E flat. Maybe it's 3 on each of those. I think you really have to start this way though. 1, 2, 3. And that'll get you to measure 4. And as we move to measure 5, that'll be a good position to be in. So now measure 6. I would go ahead and shift on beat 2. Maybe beat 3. It's actually the end of 2, isn't it? Yep. So you might just go ahead and write in 3 on that B flat to 4. And I just go 3, 2, 1. And as we get to measure 8, I think that's pretty easy. And then measure 10. And then I think shift on the end of 4. And you're all set to go. Let's see about playing it with the shuffle accompaniment, just to get a beat going, something that we can really, feel and experience. And don't feel like you have to move through all of the chords. You can just play over C if you want. that a beat going. Another thing to consider is, should we play a lot of, should we play every eighth note with the forearm? I think it's worth experimenting with that. Experience it and see what you want to do with that. This is more kind of on the quarter note. And this might be something that's easier to do with the shuffle accompaniment. So here, swing eighth notes. Boop, 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 boop. I mean, you can see the groove. It's like I was playing vibes or something. More on the quarter note. Whoops. I like both of those. Now, let's see what's happening here. I think you're going to put it together. Those are the kinds of practice strategies I would use to get this going. And beware when you have these accompaniments that are more sparse. You don't want to cheat on the rests. Your rests have to be measured. And rather than to think it, my suggestion is to groove it, to dance it. And if you're having a hard time finding that, put yourself in a position where it's non-negotiable with that shuffle. So now we're going to get into a different groove. Tumbao. Tumbao is part of Latin jazz. Tumbao is a bass part or a conga part that's an important ingredient in mambo. So this Afro-Cuban music is an important element in jazz. Dizzy Gillespie was way into it. He worked closely with a percussionist named Chano Pozo. But there are so many great Cuban musicians that have been great contributors to jazz, really made it what it is, and many great Cuban musicians today. When I think of Arturo Sandoval, Gonzalo Rubalcaba, so many. Cuban music is part of jazz music, and jazz music is part of Cuban music. So Tumbao, this bass part is a little different than what we normally experience. We don't get a lot of downbeats in the Tumbao. In fact, we get none. So the downbeat, where is it going to happen? It's going to happen in the right hand. So we start with the right hand, and I give you a pattern that's pretty easy to keep track of. For starters, why don't we use our forearm to delineate every eighth note. And notice the eighth notes are now even. They're not swung. So the first step is to make sure that you can play these two notes in the left hand in the right place. So we're going to make sure to match just camp out on the first two measures. And I think it all stays very manageable if you can remember that your right hand is showing you where the downbeats are. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. 1. And then it's not a big deal to go ahead and play the first four measures. So those, that drill of the first four measures, keep doing it until you can dance to it. And then the frequency of movement increases once we get to the next drill. You're going to love this. And once you master this page, you will have set up the coordination that you need to build all sorts of great mambo accompaniments. The right hand part, which is called montuno, goes with the tumbao. Here's an example of a montuno. Another montuno. Fun times for you. Get in the groove and dig it. Can't beat it. All right, let's move on to the harmonization exercise. This should look familiar to you because we're building on the harmonization exercise in Unit 8. All we're doing is adding one more note to the right hand. So it would be a good idea, I think, to go back and review this harmonization exercise in 8 just for a second. And then go at this and pay attention to what notes are new. So this is one where you actually notate. I've indicated the chord tones. You write it out. A couple of things to look out for. The second chord, sharp 9. Just write it as D natural. That's what it is. And if you do it that way, then what do you do with D sharp? It's crazy. So here we get into the contradictions of enharmonic spelling. So I think the easiest way to notate the second chord is to call the third E flat and then the sharp 9 D. That's just easier to read. So, but you know, there are a few steps there. It'll probably drive you nuts, but that'll be easier to read. The B flat 7 is easy. You've got the 13 as the lead note. Your D you already had, so just make sure when you write the sharp 11, that's E natural. Go ahead and put a natural sign on there. That'll help. And you've got your A flat as the 7th and the B flat. Let's see, I'm trying to think of some other places where enharmonic spelling might be problematic. When you get to the G flat 7, flat 9 in measure 4, go ahead and put a natural sign on that. Lead G. If I haven't already done that for you in the edition of the book, make sure it's there. Let's see, any place else? I think that's it. It's the B7 that's really weird, and you're going to see it again on the next page in measure 10. And just go ahead, it's the same chord. Measure 10, B3, write it. The third, which is D sharp, just write it as E flat, and harmonic spelling is totally acceptable. And this is actually something you'll see in some notation from the late Romantic period and a lot of 20th century music. Rather than making everything conform to a tonal context, things get chromatic enough where it's just a great service to the musicians who have to play the music to just use enharmonic spelling. Otherwise, you're asking people to read notes and do a lot of harmonic analysis at the same time, and it slows things down. So these kinds of compromises are pretty typical. Once you get it notated, you know what to do. Oh, the right-hand part doesn't change from C minor to B7 sharp 5. Did you notice that? You've got 3 common tones. What a difference when you slide the bottom notes down. It's a great sound. That sound, you'll hear that in some Wayne Shorter tunes. Great sound. So, just like before, work in pairs. And then, as you get so you can play it, use the pedal. You might want to make a phrase out of every 4 chords. Take a breath. End on that first chord. Hopefully there's some understanding that comes out of this, and maybe some chord sounds that inspire you.